immediately following this. And we'll be doing the swearing in of Gloria Marshall, Joe Downs, and Joel Finley. We will discuss the board and committee appointments for 2022. Okay, Kristen, I just got a recording stop. I don't know if y'all heard that or not. And I've lost Kristen.
Got Ed.
I see Ed. Richard's checking on that. Let's just pause just a minute. I think we probably ought to see what's that. Do y'all hear that when it says recording stopped?
We did.
Yes.
Okay, good.
For some reason, my video stopped, but
You got to click the button to allow it.
I did. I tried to. I no longer have that button, so.
Okay.
Steve, can you all hear me?
We hear you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, we got Kristen back. Are we recording, Kristen?
No, she said, give her one moment.
Okay.
Kristen, you have it?
Okay, good. We're back to recording now. All right. So let's see. I left off at, I think we're going to discuss the 2022 appointment of city officers.
Kristen, you have it?
Wait a minute.
Okay, good. We're back to recording now. All right. So let's see. I left off at, I think we're going to discuss the 2022 appointment of city officers.
Wait a minute.
Good. Back to recording. All right. So. I'll pause another second here and we'll see what's Hey, Richard, what? Well, he's not in there. I'm showing that we're live on YouTube right now. If we could get somebody just to confirm that, Richard, maybe pull it up on your phone. If we're live on YouTube, that ought to suffice whether we're, because YouTube will record it. And Joe, we have video. You found the button. Alex, are we correct? And we should be,
It's showing up on YouTube. Here.
okay,
It is
we're good
showing
then,
up.
Alex. If we got a YouTube feed, we're good for the recorded, even though I guess we're not catching this on the Zoom recorded. We got it on YouTube. Because I've got the button on the top here. It says live. If we got a YouTube feed, we're good for.
Did the public notice include the YouTube?
That I don't know.
I mean, that would be the question if the
Yeah,
notice.
that's a good point. I don't know the answer to that one. In the future, we need to put both, and in the future, I hope we stop doing these virtual meetings. Tiffany, it's not always like this.
That's okay. It's nice to be home waiting.
That's right.
Joe, why are you wearing that shirt?
Well, I think we have a game tonight. I'm not sure, but
Really? Who's playing?
Alabama and Georgia.
Nah.
Yeah.
well, I hope Georgia plays.
Me too.
Is Ed there?
It is there, yes.
Sir.
Ed, I came across a picture of you when you first came to West Point. You spoke to the Rotary Club the first time. And I thought you were one of the kids that was graduating from high school. But
Y'all have aged me quite a bit since then, Joe.
West Point's been challenging, hasn't it?
It's a good challenge. Steve, folks out there can hear us. So
Can they hear us on the Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, well then
Folks
this,
that are on the Zoom call can hear us.
okay, Alex, we're good for that?
Yes,
fine.
Okay. If they
Yes,
can hear us, I'm gonna move on. All right, the 2022 appointment of city officers is appointment of the mayor pro tem by mayor and council, the city attorney, which would be Alex Dixon. The municipal court appointments for consideration for 2022 are Luther Jones for municipal court judge, Benjamin Wilcox for judge pro tem, prosecuting attorney Mark Carlton, assistant prosecuting attorney Alex Dixon, public defender Brian Joel Applin. We have the Sip Cafe and Wine Room Revolving Loan Fund, and we have Sidewalk Improvements. Those are the items for the work session. So do I need a motion to approve this agenda?
So moved.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, public comment is usually done, but we don't have anybody signed up for public comment tonight, so we'll skip over that. We're going to move straight into our presentation by Miss Tiffany Welch with the Sip Cafe and Wine Room Revolving Loan Fund. I'll hand it over to you, Miss Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. My husband Jamie is on too, I think. I'll start off by giving a little bit of background on myself and my husband Jamie. I'm originally from Prattville, Alabama, and my husband and I both attended school at Auburn University. I have a degree in liberal arts and a master's in community service management. And my husband, Jamie Welch, is a mechanical engineer from Auburn and also holds an MBA. Currently, Jamie is working in our full-time business as an Amazon delivery service partner. We have a fleet of over 28, 30 vans and about 70 employees now that are delivering for us through the Amazon channels. Prior to that, Jamie was a business consultant with Ernst & Young, Coca-Cola, and various other companies where his job was to go in. Jamie, I guess I could let you talk about yourself, huh? Well, his job was to go in and basically make the companies lean and more efficient. And myself, I am an underwriter, quality manager for Travelers Insurance Companies. I actually write and construct the policy language of your property and casualty insurance policies. So that's a little bit of background on us. For the past 20 plus years, we've been living in Atlanta, and we've decided to move back closer to home and close to Auburn, where we are on various boards there. And West Point is where we landed. We found a house that I fell in love with, and here we are. And of course, the first thing we thought was to get out in the community and familiarize ourselves with the people and the businesses, et cetera. And we immediately saw a need for some type of coffee bar, entertainment, restaurant, et cetera, that's not currently being filled. And we were able to secure the building from Mark and Cinda Lott. And thus we did some research and thought that SIT would be a really nice addition to the community. We initially found ourselves going straight to LaGrange and to Opelika to eat and for entertainment. And I thought, well, we need to really keep this type of business in our local community. That way we can keep the funds here, we can provide people with other options, and more importantly, we can provide some jobs to the people here in the community. SIP Cafe and Wine Room will operate 7 days a week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We'll operate from 7 a.m. to probably 2 o'clock, and we'll close for dinner. Your traditional breakfast items for SIP would be, of course, coffee and tea and your various baked goods. And then lunch will move into sandwiches and your typical light fare. And we'll close at 2 o'clock, reopen at 5 for dinner. And dinner we will transfer it into a white tablecloth and a high dining experience. I'm currently working with my business consultant, who's also a celebrity chef, and we're curating the menu to provide for the restaurant. Additionally, I'm working with a marketing firm to build the website and to really put a robust marketing campaign into place. Again, we will, at 5 o'clock, we will go into a really nice dining experience where we will offer small plates, tapa style, pairing with wines and delectable desserts. We will have a wine tasting room that will also be available to the community in case a book club or women's group or whomever may want a place to have a meeting that will be available for nonprofits as a way to give back to the community and then also to bring people into the business. I did provide you with a business plan. My numbers are pretty conservative by design. I wanted to make sure I was conservative with those numbers so I knew exactly where we could go with that. My husband and I will work full-time in the business. We will not be taking a salary. Our current employment takes care of our personal expenses, so we don't need to take a salary from SIP. I think that's it. Any questions from anybody?
Tiffany, I have a question or two. First of all, we're glad you're here, glad that you're in our community, and always glad to hear of people who are interested in investing in our city. The business plan provided a lot of specific numbers on employees, jobs that you expect to create. I was just wondering how where the basis for those numbers came from. Did you talk to Cinda and Bob and kind of base that on their traffic, or was it from some other source of some other research? And are those FTEs, those full-time equivalents, or are they, sort of a mix of part-time and full-time?
Well, I spoke with Cinda on some of the numbers. However, I believe Jam and Cafe has been closed for a while. It's been a few years. So they weren't really credible. So what I did was really to do some research on local restaurants in the area, breakfast places, things of that nature, while taking into consideration the socioeconomic of the city, for sure. And again, my numbers are conservative. I do believe that I will probably be increasing those slightly based on the product and the offerings that we will be offering. So I do expect those numbers to go up slightly. With regards to employees, there will be a mix of full-time and part-time employees. I do plan to employ a full-time executive chef, a full-time restaurant manager, as well as a pastry chef. So there will be some full-time employment available. And I'm considering offering benefits as well. I know that's a big issue for a lot of people. So we currently offer that to our drivers. So I'm considering also providing that as well, an option for those full-time people.
Okay, all right. And I think your business plan referenced a previous wine tasting option that we had in the city. And maybe because I don't drink a lot of wine, I wasn't aware of that. What business was that?
Coaches.
Oh, Coaches.
I talked to Matt. It's been several weeks ago when he advised me that he would used to have wine tastings there, and that he would always sell out, and that it was a great idea. And he was also going to introduce me to some of his wine distributors. And so I thought, there's a need for that, or want, I should say, for having the wine tastings and opening that up more frequently. And, and being at this cafe and wine bar, our target audience is a slight bit different than what we currently have. I don't think there's going to be any competition with the current restaurants here. We are looking to offer a different twist to the community. the business community, the nonprofit community, and just a place for people to go and sit and visit, more of a grown-up experience for sure. So that's what we're looking to do. And the wine is just something nice to add to it. We'll also do other events. I mean, there may be a bourbon tasting, there may be some paint and sip for ladies who like to do that. The West Point Women's group, whom I recently joined, are interested in holding their book club there. So we are really looking to be a part of the community and to really provide whatever it is that's needed here to attract and younger people, attract families, and to give the people of West Point something to do here without taking that money to other cities.
Excellent. Wine tasting is definitely a draw. I mean, I didn't realize that coaches offered that. They're not anymore, I take it. And certainly options are wonderful, from food to wine to whatever, entertainment. It's great to think of the possibility of another option. Thank you.
And entertainment too. We do look to, bring in a guitar player, some nights and play, and give the students at Point an opportunity to perhaps showcase their talents and things of that nature. So we're looking to just have some events and to really just give the people something to do.
Thanks. Those are all of my questions.
Okay, thank you.
Tip, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Gloria, can you hear me?
I can now. Hi, Gloria.
Oh, hi, Tiffany. In the presentation that you made, you said you was asking the city for what, 150,000?
It's 100,000.
100,000. Okay, I just missed
Yeah,
that.
I'm sorry. That was my original business plan that went to my bank, and
Right.
So that was not for the city.
Okay, I just noticed in here it said 150 that you for the loan for. And the other thing it said that I think it said the seating capacity is 60. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We are doing some remodeling there in the space, and do some configuring to for that number. And that's a rough number. I'm not quite sure exactly how many tables I want to put in there, but it will have at least a 60 capacity, plus your tasting room, and it will also have some seating available.
Okay.
There was a lot of space that wasn't being used when it was a bakery. And so we're using all of that space.
That's what I was about to say. When it was a bakery, it didn't seem like you could get 60 in there at one time.
No, there's another big room. They kind of like had two big kitchens. I mean, it was a huge room that wasn't being used. So we were moving and relocating that plumbing and putting everything in the kitchen, and we're going to use that space. So there's a large space that's going to be configured into the space.
Oh, thank you. And that was the reason why I said 60, because it didn't seem like it was that large.
No,
But we
no,
really
in its present state, it would not have held 60 people. And then, we're doing some bench seating as well to maximize the capacity. On one wall, it will be a nice upholstered bench seating with the high backs that's being, custom made. And that's going to also add some seating and some space in there. So we want to keep it quaint, but we want to make sure we use all the space that's available.
Well, thank you. And thank you for wanting to come to West Point and set up business.
Well, thank you. I'm really happy to be here. We are enjoying the city. Didn't know a soul here, but we are quickly meeting people in the neighborhood, and finding that we have a lot of our old Auburn friends who live nearby. So it's been really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Ms. Welch?
I'd like Ms. Welch to meet some Georgia friends as well.
One of my good friends is a Georgia Bulldog. You know, having lived in Atlanta for so many years, I was surrounded by Bulldogs, but I'm rooting for you tonight. I'm
Oh,
rooting
thank
for you. I'm so tired of Alabama. I'm just tired of them. Go Dogs.
Okay, if there's nothing else, does your husband want to, Jamie, did you want to say anything?
Wake up, Jamie.
Thanks, Steve. But I think Tiffany really hit all the main points on it. And I just want to echo what she said. That we're really happy here to be in West Point. It's a nice, friendly town. And we really feel from like we're back home again.
Great. Okay, well then if that's it, we're going to move on then to the rest of our agenda into new business. And thank y'all so
Thank
much
you.
for being with us. We'll start with
you.
the city manager update. Ed, if you'll give that to us. I think you muted, Ed. You need to unmute.
Sorry about that. Got a few items that we were working on at the end of last year. I just wanted to give an update on, and then some just general operational things. Have had some conversations with Trick County Board of Education on the naming of the facility after Ms. Brock. I talked with Brian Shoemate and Chip Metters. We have not been able to put together anything at this point to deliver to the council, but we will have that ready for the January 25th work session. So they do have a process for naming, but superintendent said that he had some ideas, and that was the end of last week, and we've not been able to reconnect on those. So as soon as we have that, I'll forward that on to you. During the holiday break, we had some issues with garbage pickup, waste, missed some recycling and some garbage collection more than normal for those 2 weeks. So we have been working with their staff to make sure that that everything gets picked up and collected, and we'll continue to engage with them until we can resolve what seem to be continual issues. They had once again, some equipment issues, and they certainly have staffing issues, just like many other businesses at this point. So I think it's something that again, we can continue to work together and overcome, but really it's going to be up to them to put forth the effort to make it happen. The 6th Avenue Park project is almost complete. We've got a proof roll in the morning on that project, and should have the parking lot paved by the end of the week if the weather holds up and the proof roll goes well. That'll be the last piece for the current contractor, and then the playground will be in 1st of April, as we've talked about before, just a delay on most equipment. The MLK and 10th Street project is an April start, May completion, still on target to get that project done. Some other projects that we talked about the end of last year, the lettering of the 12th Street tank. We've been in contact with the contractor to do that work. We just need to get that on the agenda for the council at the end of this month to talk about exactly what we want that lettering to look like. The always stops. We have the signs to go up. We're having a little bit difficult time getting someone here to do the striping on those intersections. So as soon as we have all that worked out, those will go in. We're working on some audiovisual improvements in the council room that we've been working on for a while, but we want to improve the video quality there over what we've had in the past, as well as to get our displays working again and our microphone system working somewhat better. So we're working on that. There's certainly been a good bit of discussion in the last quarter of last year about trash on the side of the roads. So we're looking at coming up with some ideas so that we can put forth some best practices, not just to say, the city needs to get out and pick all this up, but some engagement with the community to try to talk about how we can address the trash on the roadways. It's a huge issue for many people, and it's not an issue at all for other people. So it's something that we need to get all of you engaged with as we try to figure out a solution for the roadway trash. We've had communication throughout the year on the river park and the maintenance there. That's something that that we are going to get to in the first quarter of this year. Get the trails cleaned and get some areas that are easier to maintain, do some new work over there and improve those trails for public access. And the last item are the signs that we talked about in the recreation area. Working on those to put together some more information. Council did give approval in concept for doing that signage, but we want to get back with you and look at some pricing and exactly what we want to do in that area. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have on the update.
Ed,
Yes, ma'am.
does those signs include the one for the John Hawks Park?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just checking.
Yes, ma'am. The John Hawks Park, then a couple of internal signs, directional, and then a message board sign that we talked about putting right there at the Splash Park.
Right.
So that will be what we'll be working on to present to you.
Okay, thank you.
Ed, is there any update on the sidewalks for 10th Street?
Yes, ma'am. We've got that on the agenda for tonight. So we get to that item, I'll update you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple of questions. Ed, well, first of all, comment the litter issue, especially the Webb Road area. I've noticed that there's been some attention given to that. It still needs to be, well, it needs to be maintained, of course. And it's good to hear that you've got that still on the table. Face masks and all kinds of litter, are thrown out there near Kia Parkway. A lot of the well, I don't know if I should say a lot of the plants or building areas for smokers, but I know we are at Hyundai Trans's seating, and I think it's helped down in our area, whereas we used to require everybody to go off site, off the property to smoke. And, wherever they don't have long on a break. So wherever they go across the street or slightly down or up the parkway, they're just littering from the car. And that has improved some now that they can, stay on site under a pavilion to smoke. But that doesn't address the issues on the northern end of the parkway or on Webb Road. I think there's been some activity with city crews on Webb Road recently, and I'm sure those residents are appreciative of that. The other point I wanted to mention has to do with HR management changes, promotions, terminations. I know that we can't get into discussion of that in a work session. It has to be a executive session. And I would request, though, that we do that periodically, especially if we have activity. I'm amazed at the comments and the information I receive from citizens about matters like that, and just reading in the paper, someone that's with the city whose title is now whatever, and it's like, well, they used to be this last month or 6 months ago. And being on the council, I feel we really need to be kept abreast of those kinds of staff changes. Of course, not adhering to the law and doing it in a private session. If we could include that in your update at some point, I would appreciate it. Update in an executive session.
Anybody else have anything for Ed? All right, hearing none. The next item will be in the business meeting immediately to follow. We have the oath of office for elected officials, which will be Gloria Marshall, Joe Downs, and Joel Finley. We'll swear them in. And also Alex Dixon is on the agenda. The 2022 board and committee appointments. Ed, would you go over those with us?
Yes, sir, I will. For the upcoming January work session, we'll have the Troup County Parks and Recreation Commission. We have a vacant seat there, so we've got 1 year left on that term. Will need to be filled. For the March agenda, we have Board of Adjustments. We have 2 incumbents there, and we have 1 vacant seat for the Board of Adjustment, so 3 total coming up. We also have the Hawks Library Board. We have 2 incumbents there that are up to be reappointed or someone new fill those positions. And we have the Municipal Planning Board, 1 position there. So those are all for the March timeframe. For June, we have the Keep Troop Beautiful. We have 1 there and 1 vacant that still needs to be filled. The October agenda, we have the West Point Historic Preservation Commission. We have 2 seats there that are currently occupied that will be up. For the December agenda, we have, once again, that Troup County Parks and Recreation position that is now vacant. It will be back up for appointment. We have the West Point Development Authority with 1 seat and the Troup County Election Board. I don't know that we'll have that one again. As a matter of fact, I think the county, that's still on our list, but the county's now appointing those board members, so we need to take that one off. But we have, once again, December, we have the Troup County Parks and Recreation Commission and the West Point Development Authority.
Ed, the Troup County Parks and Recreation Commission slot, whose unexpired term is that?
That's Henry's.
Henry's, okay. So he resigned. Did he resign?
As far as I know, that's what's on the list here. So,
because that wasn't linked to his service as a council person.
right.
So he has not submitted an application or desire to stay on that board, Ed?
It's what's on the list says it's vacant seat. So I'm not sure about that seat in particular. I'm just that's just what's on our list.
Okay.
I can get that clarified though to make sure that we're right on that.
Okay, any other questions on the board and committee appointments?
And are all of those, well, what term, how many years are those terms of the ones you read off, Ed? It seems like Don Cleveland is listed, I believe, on the Board of Adjustments. Is that right? I'm not looking at it right now. Okay, so it seems like he just go back on last year? I mean, well, not back on. He has been in that position for a while, but he committed to serve another term, I thought, last year. So is it up for review again in 22, or are they 1-year terms, or?
I don't think they're 1-year terms, but again, the list I have in front of me is the same list that was in your packet. So I don't have the terms on this sheet in front of me.
So
we can certainly look at that.
Who does that come from?
It comes from here in the office. Kristen keeps
okay.
the list. So.
Okay, yeah, if we could look at that, because yeah, if we could look at that, that would be good.
Sure, we'll do that.
Okay, anything else on board and committee appointments? Next item is the 2022 appointment of city officers, and that will be the mayor pro tem, the city attorney, Luther Jones for municipal court judge, Ben Wilcox for judge pro tem, prosecuting attorney, Mark Carlton, assistant prosecuting attorney, Alex Dixon, public defender, Brian Joel Applin. Those are the appointments for consideration. So do we have any questions, comments on that?
How do we go about, what's the process for deciding on mayor pro tem? I think I asked that last year, and I don't know if I ever got that answer.
The council nominates who they choose, and somebody makes a nomination and we vote on it.
Okay, and so that changed from the way they used to do it when? Last year or before then?
been that way ever since I've been on council.
It used to be rotational, and I'm certainly not, proposing that that's the way it needs to be. I'm just curious.
Well,
You don't know when it changed?
I don't know that we ever
I
changed it.
I don't think that there's ever been a policy that regulates the council. What the charter says that or it's in the ordinance, I'm not sure if it's ordinance or charter, but it says the council shall appoint from the council a person to serve in that position. I don't think there's any rotation or anything that was changed. There may have been a procedure that the council was following, but I don't
Maybe
know.
maybe that's the way it was. It was a practice or a procedure that the council followed, and at some point that evolved to the current process.
Great.
Okay, that's fine.
Any other comments or questions regarding the appointment of city officers? Next item is the revolving loan fund for the Sip Cafe and Wine Room. Ed, what can you tell us on that?
Yes, sir. I'm going to give you some more information, and thanks to Tiffany and Jamie for being on the call tonight. I think they laid out their plan very well. As was discussed, the application is for $100,000 from our local RLF. Currently, we have $128,000 total in the RLF accounts. The applicant has provided all the required information, and we reviewed that information, and they are committed to creating those jobs that were discussed previously, and they are committed to creating a number of those jobs being low to moderate income, which is very important to the CDBG RLF guidelines. The project meets all those criteria of being in the RLF program. The term of the loan would be $100,000, 2% interest for 10 years. The city would generate approximately $10,000 in interest over the life of the loan, which would go back into the RLF fund. We've never taken any funds out of the RLF, which we could for administrative costs, but all that's going back into the RLF so the council can continue to invest in the downtown area. We think that based on the project itself and all of the financial documents that's been provided to us, that certainly they can repay the loan. So if the mayor and council approve the RLF for this project, we will provide we'll move forward, provide the applicant with a loan agreement, promissory note, security deed, and all the other commercial loan processes that are required for us to do.
How long does that process take generally, Ed?
It's just really based on how quickly, once someone, says they want to apply for the funds, we get them the information. They provide the information back to us. Are you making that?
I was referring to, from this point forward, the legal work and the promissory note preparation and whatever goes into that closing.
Alex, you want to comment on that?
Yes, Ed and Ms. Williams, the drafts of the documents have already been prepared. I communicated with Ed and Kristen several weeks ago when they were pretty far along in the process with the applicants for the project, and we're, I think, ready to close pending council approval. So, I think this could close this week or next week, depending upon the schedules of everybody, but everything's ready to go with pending council approval.
Okay. And we know it's pending council approval, and I guess that brings me to the next point. I say it all the time. It would be great. We heard a few months back that we had an applicant, but that's all we heard until tonight or today, or anyway, in preparation for the work session, I guess it was on the agenda. and then that got canceled and pushed to tonight. So we found ourselves in a situation where we're looking at hearing about it really for the first time and then voting on it. And not just with revolving loan applications, but just city business in general. It sure would be nice if we could, and sometimes there's an exception, you can't, timing doesn't allow it, but in most cases, if we could hear something at a work session, have another work session to talk about it, review it further, and then have it come for a vote no sooner than, a council meeting following 2 work session discussions. That's just, kind of a general business thing with most organizations. And it would be great if we can do that with the council.
Yes, ma'am. And generally, that is our process as you described exactly. That's what we try to do. In this case, we had the holidays, and as you said, a meeting was canceled. The reason it was put on we typically don't have business on this agenda. We just go through our first of the year processes. However, this project, the applicants are eager to move forward. I think they've already started some of the work. They've already purchased the property. So city staff worked to make sure that we had a solid application, that we had all the information that we needed, and we're bringing that to the council now. And so again, it's your decision to move it forward or not.
Yeah, and just at some point in the last month or so, if we could have received something, even if it wasn't in a meeting, for discussion, just something so that we know, something specific about it, not just we got an application in process. But anyway, point well taken. I hear you.
And the only thing I would add to what Ed already said is one of the first things that was asked of me was to review the DCA guidelines and make sure that this application complied with those guidelines for the revolving loan fund. And I think city staff didn't want to bring that before the council until they were more confident that it would proceed. And then between the holidays and a work session being canceled, that's why it's on the meeting agenda tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions regarding the Sip Cafe and Wine Room revolving loan fund?
Yeah, thank you to you, the city staff, and thank you to Alex for handling that. It sounds exciting, and I think it's a great thing for the city, and we're blessed to be in the opportunity to be able to help others to actually call West Point home and bring unique businesses to our community. So thanks to this revolving fund loan.
Can't wait to have a glass of wine.
Amen, Gloria. But I was under the impression that I thought that Mrs. Welch had reached out to everyone and mentioned her plans earlier. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that happened. So
Ms. Welch had reached out, I think, to everyone, but I don't think it's Ms. Welch's responsibility to inform the council.
okay, I thought she had reached out. So I mean, I'm just saying
That's
this
pretty
is
normal.
my first time hearing it, and I don't think it was others' first time hearing it. So
No, I never said it was my first time hearing it.
okay.
Okay. I just feel like it should come to us as council members from the source rather than not from the applicant.
All right, we're going to move on to sidewalk improvements. Ed, tell us about the sidewalk improvements.
So this is the question that Sandra asked earlier about. We looked at a project for the sidewalk improvements on 10th Street. In November, we bid that project. The bids came back high, and we discussed it and talked about looking further into that and see what we could do to make sure that this was a reasonable cost. Went back to the engineer and we discussed it. We did have the same work in the MLK and 10th Street project, which was sidewalk, curb, and demolition. So we had that contractor also give us a price quote for the work based on those costs, that was several months ahead of the bid that we received for this particular project. And they came in about $20,000 higher than the bid that we received from Piedmont Paving. So after looking at that and having no real confidence that things are going to get less expensive, we are recommending that the council award this bid to Piedmont Paving in the amount of $461,930.59 for the sidewalk work that we have discussed on numerous occasions.
This is not the same contractor we've been using for sidewalks.
Well, we've used several contractors over the years for sidewalks, but we've not used Piedmont Paving to my knowledge on any sidewalk work before. They've done some paving work for us, asphalt paving.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any questions?
They were the lowest bid.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anything else on sidewalk improvements? All right. The items on the business meeting agenda in just a few minutes will be the swearing in of elected officials, the 2022 appointment of city officers, swearing in of the city attorney, the SIP Cafe and Wine Room Revolving Loan Fund, and the sidewalk improvements. Do I hear a motion to approve that agenda for the upcoming business meeting?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd
Yes.
like to move that, but I would like to move also to add one item. Can I do that at this time?
Well, it'll have to be voted on. You want to amend?
I
the-
know, I understand. I'd like to add an item to consolidate some of the work sessions and council meetings on a monthly basis.
Okay, do you want to run this through work sessions or you?
No, I'd like to just go ahead and put it in the business meeting agenda.
Without, okay.
Joe, are you talking about all the work sessions or just maybe one a month or so?
Either one that you want, either way that you want it.
Well, I need a firm motion on what you're trying to.
Okay, I'd like to consolidate our meetings to one work session and business meeting per month. Like we're doing tonight.
In the same night or different? Same
Some
night.
Sometimes people forget from one meeting to the next, and we end up repeating ourselves a lot from one work session to the next to the business meeting. And I think this way we'd be able to remember a little bit better.
Okay, I'm gonna put that up for, okay, I need first of all, I need a second even to amend that motion, and then we'll have discussion. Would anybody like to second that motion? Second that amended, help me here, Alex, I'm doing this right. Second that amended motion. Get that right? Okay.
That's right. Dr. Downs' motion is to consolidate the meetings to
Okay,
one
we'll have
meeting a month.
discussion here in a second after this. So does anybody want to second that?
I want to discuss it because this is the first time that we've done this. And I guess my point is, I think we may need to try to wait and just see how long this meeting is going to last. So far, we've already been on about an hour and we haven't completed through the work session.
Yeah, I got you.
Do we need a second to discuss?
Yeah, we need to second this first and then we'll have discussion. So if I don't get a second, then we got to go back to getting a motion. I need to hear a second on this and then we can go into discussion. Otherwise, I've got to go back and ask for another motion.
I like to second to discuss.
You want a second to discuss? Okay, we got a second to discuss. Now we'll move into discussion. Who would like to begin discussion?
Well, I would like to piggyback off what Sandra said. I mean, right now we started at 5:30. It's almost 6:30 and we have not started the regular meeting yet. So what time would we get out? 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night? I mean, time is fine. I'm just saying, I mean, it could go on to.
No, we'll be through at 8.
Right.
We would have to, I don't normally chime in on this as much, but I'd say we'd end up tabling a lot of items to the following month. Voting on the stuff that's easy and then probably having to table a lot of things. Don't y'all think, if we did it that way?
There are a lot of things that that can be quick hits. And you know, you don't really need a lot of time to talk about it, think about it, deliberate on it. But then there are a lot of things that you need time to have it lay on the table, as they say. Some organizations, it lays on the table for a month. That might be a little long, as to Joe's point. You kind of forget what was said last month. At any rate, I think we need to be willing to put in the necessary time, even if we eliminate one of the work sessions or consolidate 2 work sessions into one, need to be willing to put the time in to address it. At the same time, nobody wants to be here till 11 o'clock at night. It's glorious throughout. So, or even at you know, 8 or 9 consistently. So you know, we need to think, I think, about it. And this came up spur of the moment. Maybe this is something we need to think about before we move toward changing something. When I think about going to 2 meetings instead of 3, we just asked for an increase in pay, or, you know, it went through last year, and it was based on how often do you meet, you know, what is it that you do? And to now say, okay, now we want to do less of that. I don't know how well that would come across to the public either. None of you doing it for the money, I'm sure. But at the same time, the perception out there is that you get paid for doing the job. And I think the main thing is that we need to do it with seriousness, and we need to do it with dedication, and be willing to put in the time necessary to you know, do a good job.
If I'm incorrect, with the extra work session was added when Kia came, because it was a lot of things to do. So Ed, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that the reason we added the additional work session?
Yeah, certainly there was a lot of things going on about that time. It's something that Mr. Gillum really wanted to do. He was in favor of having 2 business meetings. Then there was a compromise with the council to do the 2 work sessions and continue to have 1 business meeting. So that's really how we got to that place of having the 3 meeting schedule.
But sometimes it's good to have the 2 work sessions because of the fact that if you can't make one, then you can catch the other one and still be informed, even though, you know, of course, we get everything in our packages, but you know, you have the opportunity to ask questions.
So
But then-
Joe, are you,
Then sometimes we just have a business meeting that lasts like 8 or 10 minutes because we've already discussed everything so much at the 2 work sessions. So the business meeting is almost extraneous.
When have we had one in 10 minutes?
We used to have them that would
Yeah,
have
we used to have them. We don't have them anymore.
Not in our current group. We don't have it that way, but we used to have it pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you used to have them because you used to make bets on whether you're going to break your record of 8 minutes and do it in shorter time. And, you know, while that's funny and that's, you know, something we laugh at, I think that's kind of pathetic that we look at our jobs, you know, in that vein. So
I'm sorry, I don't remember that ever happening. We didn't
What?
bet on it, no.
No, I mean, no, yeah, the conversation was not literally bet, but conversation was ask Gator.
Joe,
Anyway,
have-
I think it's a good thought, one work session instead of two, but again, I don't know that there's any less business to be conducted, so, you know, it probably.
Well, I'd be willing to
more-
amend my motion.
It probably is going to be a longer one work session than, you know, the length of time for each of the two, but.
So Joe, let me understand what you're saying. You want to have one business meeting and then you want to have the next business meeting along with the council meeting. Is that correct?
Well, we could do it a work session and a business meeting at the same time, or we could do a work session and a business meeting at separate times. But I would like to eliminate one of those two work sessions.
Session.
Anybody else have any comment?
So Ed, what would be your suggestion then in response to a concern that decisions or votes come up too quickly after an issue has been introduced? You were saying that, you know, the normal plan now is that put it on the table, next work session, discuss it again, and then vote on it on the business meeting. If we went to one work session instead of two, what could we do to prevent having an item introduced and expected to be voted on immediately?
You know, the previous schedule that the council had was the Thursday work session, then the next Monday was the council meeting, just as we have the Thursday, Monday now. You know, that certainly works. I think it provides some benefits over the system that we have now, simply because it gives us the staff more time to prepare to get things on the agenda. So you might have a longer agenda simply because we have a longer period of time between the business meeting and the first work session, or the work session in that case, to put items on the agenda. That's where it's really going to come to the council, is how comfortable you are with having information that you receive on a Thursday and then being prepared to vote on that on a Monday. We certainly don't want to delay important decisions simply because we feel like there's not enough information. I will also say that there are many examples of local governments that do have a work session and then following that, their business meeting to do the business of the city. So it's not uncommon for that to be the way business is done.
Well, Ed, currently, don't we have work sessions in our business meetings and business meetings in our work session? I mean, many times we've had work sessions interrupted to pass something or certify something or verify an appointment. We've had business meetings in our work sessions and work sessions in our business meetings. So cutting back to 2 instead of 3 a month, I don't think that would be a big handicap. Do you?
No, I don't think so. I think we can, again, I'm speaking from the staff perspective. We can certainly prepare and have the information to the council for that work session prior to the business meeting. I certainly wouldn't make it, 2 weeks before the business meeting. I think it needs to be, with a few days. Thursday seemed to work very well for us in the past when we did that.
So if from a council person's perspective, there's something that's discussed in the work session on Thursday that they really feel a need to do some due diligence on to be prepared to vote on it, that only gives you a little time, gives you one more work day. And then the weekend and then the meeting is the following Monday. So what would be the downside to having the work session and then some time between the work session and the business meeting? In other words, say the first work session date, if you were going to skip the one immediately prior to the business meeting. What would be the downside to having 2 weeks in between them?
Well, from my perspective, the city staff and the city manager are certainly should be considered advisors to the council. It's been expressed by this council that we wanted to have our discussions in council meetings, and therefore that's the lead that we have tried to follow in providing the council all the information that they need to make sound decisions. If there's a work session 2 weeks ahead, if there may not be any questions to staff, there may be some questions to staff. I don't think that there's ever been a time when we had our Thursday, Monday schedule that we weren't able to answer questions and get information to the council when requested.
Right. I guess you're speaking from staff perspective. You're having the time to do the due diligence. I'm speaking from council members' perspective, and it may be that council members don't need any time to do anything. But if for some reason one did feel that, well, I'd like to talk to this or that person, or I'd like to find out this or that. And, these aren't full-time jobs. So it's not like you just put everything aside to go do your council work for the next 2 business days if you have that. So I understand you're saying you all can do what you need to do from Thursday to Monday to be prepared. But what about the members of the council? And it may be that that's not a concern of the majority, which will come out in the vote. But I'm just asking, what is that not a consideration we could give? More time for council people to feel like they've got the time they need to address any issues that come before them that they'll be expected to vote on.
Do you have any comment on that? Any questions?
Joe, would your proposal, your motion, be intended to be temporary or permanent?
Well, it's until council action chooses otherwise. It could be one meeting.
Is it spurred primarily because of COVID?
No, I just think we've got our system. We can do a business meeting in a work session and a work session in a business meeting. So 2 meetings a month would be enough, I think.
This discussion is kind of growing arms and legs, I realize, but if we were to do that, and to your point about business meetings and work sessions and vice versa, a concern of mine has always been that I think we don't take minutes. We don't approve minutes in the work session, do we? I think we ought to do that if we're going to think of them interchangeably. Probably ought to do it anyway, but if we're going to consider them one and the same, we need to be recording them. Have a record of the meeting minutes, in other words.
We do have minutes of work sessions.
Okay, but we just don't approve them, or what? We don't approve minutes?
That's correct. That's correct, because it's not any items in the work session that you vote on that is of substance. The only thing you'd be voting on is the agenda, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the work session minutes and the regular minutes is being recorded and logged.
So before we started recording, were we taking minutes? And if we're doing minutes, is there any check and balance on accuracy of them and, you know, whether they're, is the people who
They're
spoke.
posted on our website and they were made available to the public and you all. But no, we have never.
The work session meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
minute. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. They're available. They're out there on our website. We've been doing it for years.
So if there's something, I'll admit, I don't go to the website to look for minutes to view for accuracy and then say, you know, this is not accurate or this is. So that's incumbent upon us to do that, I guess.
I guess,
Yeah.
but basically, now we could go to just recording the actions instead of trying to keep up with verbatim minutes of what everyone is saying as far as that. But what I try to do is just get the gist of the minutes recorded, where if a person is reading it, they'll understand what's going on in the meeting. But the law says the only thing we have to do is just record the action. As far as the work session minutes, the only thing I really have to record is the attendance and the agenda, basically.
Mhm. Well, I think the method, what you're doing now certainly is better than all of that. I mean, it's one thing to not have to do something, but to do it because it's a best practice or the right thing to do, that's a different situation. I think the fact that you're doing a video recording, I guess, of both work sessions and business meetings gives us a record. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Because, you know, yeah, it is hard to put every little detail in minutes, but at the same time, you don't get the spirit and you don't get the gist of the discussion if you just have
Okay,
the motion with this
okay,
voted.
I'm gonna interrupt now. We're getting off on minutes and we need to be addressing this. Whether or
Need to
not,
go on.
yeah.
Need to go on. Yeah.
This may be better to have in a work session, this discussion, but you know, I'm interested in getting the procedure done right and us moving on with our meetings. It's always what I'm trying to do. So let's, if anybody else has anything to say about the motion at hand, say it. If not, we're going to go ahead and we've got a second, and then I'm going to need the all in favors or opposed. Anything else? Go ahead.
I would suggest we try it. I mean, it's not written in stone. If it doesn't work or if it becomes a problem for some of the council members, we can always go back to the old way. I mean, it's not like it's in stone and we can't change it. We could try it. If it doesn't work, we can go back to the old way.
And we feel like this is the current method is not working because of what? I guess I'm going back to, if it's not broken, what are we trying to fix? So what's not working about what we do currently? It's taking too much time.
I honestly think that this is going to take longer. This is a good example right now.
I think it might.
So can we just vote on it and move on?
We can do that. I'm not sure. I'm a little unclear on the how to word this thing. Okay, the motion has been made for the items that I listed, plus the reducing to one work session and one business meeting.
I think the motion by Dr. Downs was to add that item to the business meeting agenda specifically.
For a vote.
Not that you.
Yeah, to add it, that's the motion in hand for a vote in our business meeting we're about to start. I just want to make sure I'm saying that properly for the minutes, and that we don't spend as much time in this vote here in a few minutes as we're spending right now. So that's why I'm struggling with this to get this right. But we have a motion, we have an amended motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Say likewise. Hearing no opposed, the motion that will be our agenda for the business meeting that we're about to start. So I'm going to hold, if y'all don't mind, let's just do announcements at the end of the business meeting so we don't do this twice. And I need a motion to adjourn this work session.
So moved.
Adjourn.
Okay, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sure, there's nobody opposed to that. Okay, now we're about to go into the business meeting. A couple questions I have. Are we good on this recording time? I know we got cut off one time in an hour. Are we unlimited now on our recording time? I hate to get started on this and get knocked out.
Well, we've been over an hour already, Steve.
We've been on, yeah, I didn't know if it was like a 2 hour because we're running up on 20 minutes. Can I just get?
We have 2 hours.
We have 2 hours. Okay, what if we did this? What if we stopped for 2 minutes and then started again? Would we be able to start for another 2 hours?
Are
It's
we
20
gonna
minutes. Do what?
Are we gonna need 2 more hours?
No, 20 minutes. She said we have 2 hours total record time. If we only got 20. No, what if I'm reading this right? We've only got 13. We started at 5:30.
5:30.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting mixed up on my time. So we're into this now, an hour and 15 minutes. So we just have to wrap it up in 45 minutes. So we should be good there. Surely we can do this in 45 minutes. All right. So we're adjourned from that work session. We're ready to go into the business meeting now. All right, we're going to begin the business meeting. Who wants to say the prayer before this business meeting? Do I have any volunteers for the prayer?
I volunteer Reverend Ledbetter.
Pastor Ledbetter, is that okay with you?
I accept that volunteering.
Okay, thank you very much. If you'll lead us in prayer.
God, we thank you for the day and we thank you for your goodness and grace. We thank you for this council and each person on it. We thank you for our city. We thank you for the people that we serve, and we ask that you help us do all things decently and in order. In the name of Christ, amen.
Amen. Okay, we'll call the business meeting to order. You have the minutes from the December 13th, 2021 meeting in your information packet. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You have the financial report in your information packet as well. Do I hear a motion to approve the financial report?
So moved.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, any comments, questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the agenda tonight is the swearing in of elected officials. First, the 2022 appointment of city officers, the swearing in of the city attorney, the SIP Cafe and Wine Room Revolving Loan Fund, the sidewalk improvements, and then finally, the amended item, which was condensing to, I don't have it written here, condensing down to one work session and one business meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So in new business, the first item we have is the swearing in of elected city council members. Gloria Marshall, Joe Downs, and Joel Finley have been elected to serve a 4-year term on the West Point City Council. I have the oath of office in front of me here for all three of you. If you're okay with it, I'd like to read it once and then get each of you. I'll go from Gloria to Joe to Joel and ask each of you to attest to it. So I'll read this to you now. Your oath of office for the city of West Point council member is, I do solemnly swear that I will perform the duties of council member of the city of West Point to the best of my skill and ability, and as to me shall deem to the best interest and welfare of said city without fear, favor, or affection, so help me God. Moreover, I swear to the following, that I am not the holder of any unaccounted for public money due this state or any political subdivision or authority thereof, that I am not the holder of any office of trust under the government of the United States, any other state, or any foreign state, which by the laws of the state of Georgia prohibit my holding of this office, that I'm otherwise qualified to hold said office according to the Constitution of the laws of Georgia, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, and that I have been a resident of this jurisdiction in which I was elected for the time required by the laws of this state. So Gloria Marshall, do you affirm this?
I do.
Thank you. Joe Downs, likewise.
I do.
Thank you. And Joel Finley. You're muted, Joel. You're still muted. Okay, 1 second, we'll hold. You there, Joel?
Steve, I'm here.
Okay, affirm that, Joel, please.
Affirmed.
Okay, thank you. All right. That swears in our 3 city council members for the next 4 years. The next item on our agenda is the 2022 appointment of city officers. Do I hear a motion to appoint the 2022 Mayor Pro Tem?
I'd like to nominate Miss Sandra Thornton.
Okay, we have a motion to nominate Sandra Thornton as the 2022 Mayor Pro Tem. I need a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and any opposed? All right, that motion carries. The next is, do I hear a motion to appoint Luther Jones as the municipal court judge?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do I hear a motion to appoint Benjamin Wilcox as Judge Pro Tem?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Do I hear a motion to appoint Mark Carlton as prosecuting attorney?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Do I hear a motion to appoint Alex Dixon as assistant prosecuting attorney?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Do I hear a motion to appoint Alex Dixon as city attorney?
So moved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that carries. Do I hear a motion to appoint Brian Joel Applin as public defender?
So move.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and that carries. Next on our agenda, we have the swearing in of the city attorney. And Alex, are you with us?
I am, Mayor.
Your oath of office is, do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully, impartially, and without fear, favor, or affection discharge your duties as city attorney to the city of West Point, Georgia?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have the Sip Cafe and Wine Room Revolving Loan Fund. Do I hear a motion to approve a loan in the amount of $100,000 from the City of West Point Revolving Loan Fund for Tiffany and Jamie Welch to support real property improvements at 708 3rd Avenue, Sip Cafe and Wine Room? The loan will be
So
for
moved.
2% interest, and city staff will complete the loan process.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Do I hear a motion to approve sidewalk improvements along 10th Street, West 7th Street to the state line, and Dogwood Drive to Kia Parkway? The low bid for the project is Piedmont Paving Incorporated in the amount of $461,930.59.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in
Yeah.
favor? I'm sorry.
I had one question. I'm sorry. Ed, how many proposals do you normally get for this kind of thing? I want to approve it. I just wanted to know.
You're muted, Ed.
All right, we only had 2 bids for this work, for this particular project. So it varies. Sometimes it's according to how much work is out there. And right now there's a lot of work for these contractors. So we had 2 bids.
Okay, I was just curious.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that carries. And then finally, we have the amended item on the agenda to, and I don't like doing it this way because I don't have it in writing, to reduce our work sessions to 1. And I guess do we need to be specific, saying the prior Thursday to the Monday night business meeting? Is that how you would like it worded, Ed? Joe?
I'd like it to be worded any way you prefer. I'd just like to reduce it to 1 and 1 business meeting.
Can we add the word temporarily in there?
We can,
Okay,
go ahead, Alex. Thank you.
I'll chime in on the temporary. It's always up to the council how you structure your meetings, whether you want 2 work sessions, 1 work session, or whatever. So I would, if whatever action the council takes, I would take that action until the council takes a different action.
So we don't have to use that temporary language.
Correct.
Okay.
Any month, Alex, we wanted an additional work session. Even in years past, we could have always advertised and had an additional work session.
Correct.
So we would,
Or if we wanted to cancel the ones we already had scheduled, we could have canceled them. So,
as we did last Thursday.
Correct.
yeah.
Okay, Alex, do I need to put any specific wording in here as far as how we're structuring this?
I think it's up to how Dr. Downs wants to make the motion and what the pleasure of the council is about how you want to, when you want to schedule the work session.
I would prefer it. I would prefer to keep the work session 2 weeks apart from the business meeting, so that we have the opportunity to address any concerns that come up every 2 weeks. But whatever the pleasure of the council is, I'm fine with it.
Oh, let's make that the motion, and I'll put it out for a second, and we'll.
Okay, that's my motion.
I don't even have a first yet on that. Okay, so I need a motion to approve amending our work session schedule to be 1 work session 2 weeks prior to the business meeting. Is those dates going to work? Ed, shake your head. Yeah. Okay. That would be maybe a Monday night work session, and then 2 weeks later, a Monday night business meeting. So that's the motion at hand. We have a motion for that. Joe, you making that?
Yes.
Okay, now we need a second.
I'll second that.
Got a second. Now let's have discussion.
I'm willing to give it a try and see how this works. Since we do have the option to come back at any time and revise it.
Anybody else want to comment?
I'll go along with the majority, but it's already almost 7 o'clock. I'm just saying it's just going to be really, really, really long.
I agree with Joe.
So I don't know. I'm just not comfortable with it right now. I'm just gonna say. That's my opinion.
I agree with Joe, but I do think we need to, I mean, I know you can limit how long you can have a meeting because you're not supposed to be in a hurry, but I mean, I don't want, I'll just agree to go along with it for right now.
If we set a time frame, since we have to kind of reserve time on Zoom anyway, if we're doing a virtual meeting, if we set a time frame of an hour and a half max, and we add another work session if we're going to go over that, you know, how does that sit with everybody?
That's a good idea, Dee Dee. If we weren't able to get everything done in our work session, then we could have an additional one prior to the council meeting. But I think we could get it done in one work session.
I think we should strive for an hour. You know, I think that's always been a good policy in every meeting that I've ever conducted. If you have more business to conduct than can be conducted in 1 hour, you have to call another meeting.
Amen, preacher.
Thank you.
Well, would we not be accomplishing this then just by not having the Thursday work session and do the Tuesday and then the Monday? That gives us the time period in there. So
Yeah.
we just simplify this and say, but you all make that motion. I'm not, you know,
I'll make it. I'll amend it to that.
I'm suggesting that to you. That might be the easiest thing. And then
In deference to your wisdom, Mayor, I'll amend it to that.
Okay. All right. So who did the second?
I did.
Oh, that's right. Dee Dee did the second. Okay. Does anybody else want to chime in before I put this to a vote?
Could we be clear on what we're voting on?
That's what I was trying to do, Jerry. We're going to say that the motion is to have the Tuesday night work session as we normally have it, not have the Thursday night, unless you decide that you need it, you want to have it. You can decide you want to have as many as you want, but we're just not going to have the Thursday per Joe's motion.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then we'll have.
But that is an amendment to his previous motion, actually.
Correct.
So that needs to actually be
Okay.
seconded. His amendment needs to be seconded and approved.
Yeah, I've lost track. Thank you. Okay, so his amended motion. Somebody second that so that we're just having the Tuesday.
Second.
Dee Dee has done that now. Okay, any discussion regarding that? If not, we're moving on to the vote. All right.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's your wish. We'll give that a try. So that concludes all the items in our business meeting. Prior to adjourning, does anybody have any announcements?
Of course I do.
Okay, go ahead.
First, I want to thank everyone for their support for the Christmas toy drive. I would say that it was very successful. We didn't do as many children as we normally do, but the ones that we did serve was very, very happy. Also, we are trying to start planning our Black History program. It will be again virtual. So if anyone has any ideas or if you want to be a sponsor for that event, because now it costs more money because we have to pay someone to put it together and we also have to pay for it to be on television. We're looking for sponsors. So just inbox me or give me a call and let me know if you want to support the program. Also, I want to extend my condolence to Richard McCoy on the loss of his mother. Richard, you are continuously in our prayers, and please know that if you need us, we're here.
Mayor Trammell.
Yes.
I have a comment to make. Echo Sandra's sentiments on the passing of Richard's mother. In addition to that, Bill Edwards who was very involved in elections and civic engagement, I guess I should say, in the city, passed away. Funeral was earlier this, let's say, was Friday. Just want to acknowledge his contribution to the city of West Point over many, many, many years. And I know that he will be missed. Most of his elections work, I think, was on the Harris County side, as he's a resident of West Point, Harris County. But just want to acknowledge his contribution to the city of West Point over the years.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? All right. Well, then I think that concludes our meeting.
Steve, I had a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to welcome Joel to the council and just hope you enjoy your 4 years or more.
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that.
Likewise, Joel.
Good. All right. Well, then I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a
Second.
All right.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Stay on your computer all night for all I care. All right.
We got a game to watch.
That's right. That's right.
Good night.
All right.
Go
Good night,
Dogs.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Forgot how to turn this off here.